Welcome back to another episode of Fret Buzz the Podcast. Hi, I'm Aaron Sefchick, and together every week with my co-host Joe McMurray, we get into conversation with professionals all across the musical field. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Take a look at our library of tons and tons of topics. We cover tons and tons of material, and we've got a lot more on the way. So enough chit-chat, let's jump into part 2 with Billy Brouse from the band Papadosio on Fret Buzz the Podcast.
This is Aaron's passion.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
By your glorious looking studio. What kind of monitors are those? Are those Mackies?
Yep.
Yep.
HR8s.
Oh yeah. Looks like it sounds real nice.
Oh yeah.
When Aaron and I used to work together, like after when we were closing up the music school, Aaron would just like, I remember we'd be there for an hour and you'd be showing me how to run the studio and, you know, whether it was Pro Tools or the actual hardware. Like my entire studio knowledge is built on the foundation that you gave me.
Yeah.
This is adorable. Keep going.
That was great. Somebody's got to take you under their wing.
Yeah.
Show you
Hell yeah.
what
I'm
to
not.
do.
I'm being serious.
Yeah.
I want to hear it.
No, I mean, anytime that somebody's interested in audio, I can't but embrace that whole experience because, you know, I want to help anybody who's interested in that, just kind of help them along, obviously, because there's not a whole lot of people out there who make that transition. I mean, there's lots of people who want to play guitar or I want to play the drums or the keys, or I want to sing, I want to play bass, but making that transition then over into audio that's a little bit different.
What's your go-to DAW?
Pro Tools. I've been using Pro Tools since the very beginning.
Nice. I've never really used Pro Tools, but I've seen it being used, and I feel like I should probably know how to use it.
I mean, now I'd say 15, 20 years ago, sure, but now all of the DAWs they pretty much do the same thing. Or if you're looking for a specialized thing like, I don't know, Fruity Loops or
Fruity Loops, I love you.
Yeah, they all have their kind of like specialities where
Right.
So like for sampling and whatnot like that, sure. But for straight recording, Pro Tools all the way for me. Just and that doesn't mean that Pro Tools is any better than any of the other ones. It's just it's been this industry standard for 30 years now. And
right. Well, is it the industry standard?
It is. I mean,
it still is?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. If you were to go into any professional studio, especially as an intern or to be hired, you have to have a background in Pro Tools. Whether or not that's actually, especially in today's day and age, you need a background in something, that's for sure.
Yeah,
to be able to understand exactly how signal flow works. But it just they had the monopoly on it, and I don't know if they still have the monopoly, but it's still there. I mean,
most studios in Asheville that I've been to, definitely use Pro Tools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's Reaper or Logic or, there's just so many of them out there now.
Just like you said, I don't think it really matters that much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Sample rate is sample rate, bit rate is bit rate, whatever works best for you.
Yeah. Have
you used Ableton?
I have a copy of it as well.
Right. I love it. It just looks like a video game that if you beat it, it makes you money. That's what I always liked about Ableton. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just the workflow seems more of video gaming. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you ever use Ableton in live performances?
Every time.
Okay.
All three. Sam, Anthony, and I run Ableton on stage. And then Mike, our drummer, his role in SPDS is triggering Anthony's Ableton live set.
Wait, who does that?
Our our drummers, you know, the sample pad, like the
Yeah.
Roland SPDS. When you hear that, he's triggering sounds on Anthony's computer. And he also has like the start stop for the click. We play to a click because there's a lot of time-based stuff.
Yeah.
And so none of the samples that you hear from the drums are actually coming from that Roland. They're coming from just MIDI.
Yeah. It's all triggered from him.
Yeah. He also has like I said, the click, start, stop, and the play button up top. And then I have a master Ableton set for my Dosio live set. Anthony's Ableton set for Papadosio is the most gigantic Ableton set I've ever seen in my entire life. It's crazy. It's so weird. He started with Fruity Loops, and you brought up Fruity Loops earlier.
Right.
When I first met him, he was using Fruity Loops, and he had like 3 albums like already done, like the best worst shit ever. You know what I mean? Like, I forget what he called one of them. Something about like a future robot. It was great. Whatever it is, I hope he still has it. But he's just just knows how to get into a program or a synthesizer, and just until he knows every single thing about it, he won't stop. And so he helped. I mean, that's how I got introduced to Ableton. It was like Ableton 6, I think Ableton 6. And he was like, check this out. You can do all this now. And then that was my, you know, probably the top tier of my synthesis being like, okay, I'm going to play synths now, because now I have a computer and I can sample me talking to you and turn it into an instrument if I want to.
And you're doing that ahead of time? I mean, how much of that are you doing live?
Well, there's no, like, Anthony loops his guitar through Ableton.
Okay.
For sure. And like last night, my brother and I had a DJ-ish set in town, and I'll loop stuff in Ableton live, but I don't live loop anything in Dosio, because it just gets kind of convoluted, and there's 5 people on stage.
Right.
So we just leave it to the master clock to do. I have Ableton for all the soft synths. You know, like there's a song that I made, like the pad is just me going, oh, and I just turned that into a song. Just stuff like that, where it's, you know, it's just so easy and fun to do. I mean, have fun making music, and that's how I have fun making music.
So can you take that pad of you just and you can actually pitch, you can control that with your keyboard and, you know, play C, and it makes it play the pitch C?
Mm-hmm. So there's a song called Omni Freeze on Pattern Integrities. Every single thing in that song is my voice. The bass line, the pad, the melody, all of that.
That's really cool.
I think there's some guitar in there too. But in the studio version, and the one that I recorded on this computer, is just me going. And it wasn't even C. I tried to get, I don't have perfect pitch, so I can't do it. But it was like 2 cents off from C. So when we went to do it live, I think we actually play it in B major. I think we pitched it to B major. But I could have just pitched it to whatever, for sure.
And that's so cool. All this stuff, like, we were talking about this with the Moog Factory guy, like, it gets me so excited.
Was it Paul?
Yeah, Paul Guetta.
Yeah, I know Paul. Man.
Oh, yeah.
Paul's the man, dude.
Yeah, Paul is really,
you know,
really
Panther.
nice.
Have you listened to his music before?
Panther?
Yeah, dude, Panther God's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
And Zero God.
And Paul Abdul.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, he has one called Paul Abdul?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
has one called Paul Abdul.
Oh, that's so funny because last night I was thinking like I need to start doing a solo DJ set, and my DJ name should be Michael, comma Jack's son. So maybe Paul Abdul and I could start doing. I didn't know he had one called Paul Abdul. That's hilarious. That's amazing.
Really? Your
Anyway.
name is great too. Yeah, Paul, I was, like I said, my parents are down in Brevard and went to the Moog factory, and he took us on a tour, me and my wife and my brother, and I was like geeking out pretty hard, and I was
Sorry.
Yeah, I played all the stuff in the showroom. I was having a great time, but I like come back and I'll pull up my Ableton and try to mess with this stuff, and I'm just like, I could spend hours, and I'm like, man, I should have just practiced guitar. Like, I feel like I don't have a whole lot to show after all that time, and I'm not making money off of creating these sounds. Whereas like when I practice, I'm like there's immediate payback, immediate benefit.
Well, you can only get so good at guitar. I mean,
I disagree.
All right. Well, as you would, that's your job, is to disagree with me there. My job is to be like, you should, amp up your Ableton skills to augment that guitar playing. Because Ableton is never, it will never be a replacement for skill. It's just there to help you along the way. And that's why I use it live, and that's why, we all basically use it. It's just it's a healthy friend.
I mean, it is absolutely amazing what it does when you put a synth in the background of some song. It sounds twice as big.
Yeah,
it's like everything's like sitting on this cloud of sound that it's really really incredible what it does.
Just put a bandpass filter on a choir and soak it in reverb, and there you go.
Okay.
Did you play the Moog 1 when you were there?
Yeah, but only for a second. It was a lot to take in. 16 voice polyphony.
Oh.
You've got a Moog, don't you? You were
yeah,
playing
but not the Moog 1. But
it's like
I went in there.
$5,000.
It's 8,000.
8,000, yeah.
It's like more expensive than my car. But I went in there and I saw Paul, and like, we're friends, so I normally talk to him. And I was like, all right, cool, later. And I just sat down at that thing. It's the most beautiful synthesizer I've ever played in my entire life. And I've played memory modes and name it, I've played it. It's so amazing.
Yeah. That was a good conversation with Paul. For anybody who's interested, it's episode 33 and episode 34.
Good memory.
Look at you. You are an engineer, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's so hard to remember the names.
Yeah.
Paul, the episode numbers.
Yeah, that was a great conversation with Paul.
Yeah, he's a cool man. He's awesome. The first time I ever met Paul, we were playing at this festival called Narnia, which is down here, Beach Mountain.
Uh-huh.
And I was playing ping pong. I love to play ping pong. And I was a little bit drunk, so I was talking a bunch of shit. And Paul doesn't talk shit at all, he's like very laid back. Oh, okay. And I just talked so much shit at him, and then played ping pong with him we played like 3 games, and it was super fun. And I'm really glad he still talks to me after that. Oh man. But yeah, so I love. Sometimes I'll just go in there with like 3 people into the Moog store and like act like I'm a big deal or something, even though like anybody can walk in there, like, hey Paul, what's up, man? Oh, hey, dude. Bring it. I don't know.
It's so awesome that you can go sit down and play. It's not like you can go to Guitar Center and try a Moog. There's really no other place to test that stuff out.
I mean, so there's a Guitar Center like right down the street from me, And
It's dangerous.
Yeah, it is. But it's also really nice. Like if we're about to go on tour, I can go get a MIDI cable or whatever on my way to the bus. And, it's nice.
See, it's just far enough away from me, like 15-minute drive, to where it deters me from like going for any little thing. Because I always spend money when I go. Like, you can't help but look at the stuff, the used stuff, and you're like, oh man, look at that.
No, I went in there yesterday for no reason, and I ended up just buying like one of those, just a power strip. I just bought like a Furman power strip. I don't need that, but I wanted it, and there it was. And, sucks. Or I buy like a shaker.
Yeah.
Shakers are sweet, so whatever. Judge me. But
I will never play a show without my own surge protector now. I played at this farmer's market locally, and the power source they had me plug into had been recently rewired and incorrectly rewired.
Oh no.
And I was playing, and all of a sudden I started like smelling, and I heard this like smell of burnt plastic, and then like it melted my amp's transformer and my PA system.
Oh no.
And yeah, if I had only had a good surge protector, it was like an 8-month process of getting money back. And
from a farmer's market.
Well, it was the building that had. It was a farmer's market.
It sounds like a nightmare, right?
It was bad. I felt horrible the whole time because, like, obviously, it's not their. They're not like, they don't have deep pockets.
Right.
But I was like, you actually like cost me like $1,000. Like, I need some help here.
You brought your own PA and it fried it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So surge protectors.
Yeah.
Good.
Get a power conditioner. Get like the actual one.
Yes.
Get a For sure.
Yeah.
And even those don't. I mean.
Yeah.
They don't do so much. But one time, the first time I ever experienced that, we were rehearsing. Luckily for our first acoustic set, and in Athens, like 8 years ago, and the transformer outside of the house just blew up and surged our whole PA. We had it plugged into a conditioner, so it didn't fry everything. But it was an acoustic set, so we were like, oh, well, that sucks, but I guess we'll just wing it, see how it goes.
So you just played like actually with no sound amplification?
Yeah, it was just like a conversation about how the set is going to go. It was an acoustic set. It was just a rehearsal, but I'd never seen. If all of our, normal stuff would have been plugged in, it would have been a different story.
You got to take out insurance on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and if anyone's listening to this in a touring band that doesn't have insurance on their gear, get it. It's not that expensive, and it's totally worth it. Just do it.
That's good
Trailers.
Advice.
A trailer will wreck all of your stuff. Just get it.
Or just the fact that there's so many horror stories about people stealing your stuff.
Yeah, that too.
I see that on the forums all the time. All the time I see people just walking off with somebody's rig.
Somehow that's never happened to us. I don't know how.
That's asinine. Steal somebody's, how they make their living.
Right. One time somebody broke into the van. I think we were in Baltimore, and all of our laptops were in there. But they just took this is back in the days when you had a GPS unit on the or whatever. They just took that, and that's it. There was like $10,000 worth of just computers right there.
Oh man!
Thank God.
And they took your Garmin.
Yeah, took the Garmin. Hopefully they got a bus. I guess.
Hey, I want to change gears a little bit on you. So I'm always interested in people's practice regimens. I'm like a practice nut. I live to practice. enjoy it more than just about anything in the whole world. How do you practice differently than you used to practice? And what is your current practice regimen?
Like as a band or just
As
personally?
Personally.
I'll sit down to practice and end up like recording stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess it just turns into a songwriting session for me, at least. Right now, I don't have a piano at the house, like a physical acoustic piano. I have one in Ohio, and I need to go get that. That reminds me. Thank you for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
But yeah, I'll something that Sam, my brother, has taught me about practicing is just record everything. Another thing that Ableton is really good for, you just leave it on, or Pro Tools or whatever you're doing. If you're playing a MIDI instrument, you might as well just record it and see what happens. So that's kind of what I do. I'll sit down and try to create a voice, a new fun synth pad or a new lead, and it'll end up being a song. A lot of times, that's what happened in the past. Yeah, I definitely don't practice enough. That's for sure.
No, that's all right. Don't worry about it. No, we've had many guests on the show, and nobody has practiced as much as Joe.
All right, good.
Even like the professionals, they're like, no, Joe, I don't practice that much.
Well, that's good to know. I felt bad for a second.
No. I think all our guests feel the same way. It's like, no, Joe's the only one that I've ever known that has practiced as much as he does.
Well, hey, man, you gotta have your thing. I love playing music too, but you also have to be able to like. It took a long time, like, for just to be able to play music. And this is weird. This might sound weird, but just sit down and practice and not then think about, like, has this show been confirmed? What's the cap in that venue? Like the business side. So that I'm over that now. We're good, but like it was. I hate to use the word trigger because that triggers me. That's weird, but it was weird for a little bit in my own head. I'm over that now, but I just like to turn the practice into a songwriting exercise. I guess is my thing. And Joe, you need to text me every once in a while and remind me to practice.
Yeah.
Not every time you're practicing it, apparently, because I guess it's a lot. Are you playing right now with your feet?
He's thinking about it. I know he is.
I will be playing after this, but
good.
Before I go cruise around on my bike to the oceanfront bars. Although last night because I've had 3 shows the past 3 nights, and anyway, I've been playing a lot. Last night I was playing in like my 3rd set, and I think I bruised the tip of my pinky.
Let's see.
I mean, you can't really tell, but it hurts. Like there's
on the
nothing to
bone
see.
right there?
I think that's what I did.
Yeah.
I was just like, I hammered down something hard, and it hurts. I've been like rubbing my pinky all day. It's probably playing a jazz song, just
it's still metal. If you injure yourself, it's metal. Sure.
Yeah. Have you ever done that, Aaron, where you've bruised your finger?
Mm-hmm.
It's the worst feeling.
It's an interesting feeling, yes.
Because you can't
interesting as a
play right. You can't stop using that if you're performing. You can't stop using it.
That's the part. Yeah, that's the part that becomes a bit of a pain. Is that while performing, you're like, all right, how do I angle my finger in a different position so I don't keep on hitting that same spot all the time? So I can at least suffer through this somewhat.
Do you want to hear my worst story of injuring a finger?
Absolutely.
Story? Yeah.
Okay. One time, it was like 3rd night of a month-long tour. we had a tour bus that, I don't know if you've ever been on a tour bus, but like some of them have sliding doors in between the front lounge and the bunk area and the back lounge. Some of them have doors, like normal doors where you push and pull open, some slide.
Mm-hmm.
This one had sliding doors, and like I got up to go pee at like, I don't know, 6 in the morning out of my bunk, which is like a weird cave that you're just in. It's like, I'm like, oh, cool, I gotta go pee. And I'm holding the door. Actually, it was my left hand holding the door, and the driver like swerved around something, and my hand was still on the door as it slid into the door jamb, and my left index finger went right into where the little knob goes to close the door.
Oh.
3 days into a month-long tour. Fingernail fell off, bleeding. I just went into my bunk and cried, seriously, for like an hour. And I would forget that it was injured. So I'd like do like a, you know, like an organ roll. And like, ah, ah, ah. And like still to this day, I don't really use this finger as much as I used to.
Oh man,
it was
changed your playing for.
It was bad. I'm getting back to being able to use it again. I mean, it was years ago, but like there's something in me that I just did it so many times, and like it would just start bleeding.
That's awful.
It was weird.
You have to be real careful. I've cut myself like I have a bagel Aaron's actually wearing a Lucky Charms hat. If you can't, it's on backwards. But before the episode, we were talking about both of us love Lucky Charms.
Dude, Lucky Charms, yeah.
It's like the best dessert now for me. But like late night after show, a bowl of Lucky Charms, it's hard to beat. But I switched to bagels like, I don't know, 6 years ago or something. But bagels, when you wake up and you're just still in that kind of like sleepy mode, they're so dangerous. The not pre-cut ones.
Oh, like you don't have a bagel cutter?
No, I use a bread knife, and
Bro.
I've cut. I need to get a bagel cut. That's like nobody's ever suggested that. I've never thought you could get your own bagel cutter. Like,
okay,
I have a Bruger's bagel.
As someone who religiously cuts their fingers on everything, I have a knife washer. Like I don't wash my knives with a sponge. I have a thing that like you go like this and like wash your knife with, because I don't like and this is gonna sound like I'm a piece of shit too, but like even loading in gear, if I have to load gear in, I will cut my hand. Like the keyboard player from the, you know who the Motet is? Have you ever seen the Motet?
Oh yeah, I've never seen them, but they've got great sound.
Yeah, Joey, the keyboard player from the Motet, one time was loading in something, and he dislocated he put a picture of it on Facebook like an asshole. It was just like middle finger was like over here. And after that, I was like, all right, like if you ask me to, I will carry your stuff in, but I'm going to hurt myself. Joe, you play guitar. You need a bagel cutter, dude.
Yeah. Bagel cutter and this knife wash.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Knife wash. It was one of those things. I was at I like to cook. That's I think a product of being on tour for so long and eating at restaurants. You know, like I love going out to eat, but I love being at home and cooking. You know, there's something to be said about, I don't know, it's a creative outlet, and it's food, so it's awesome. But I'll go to Kitchen and Company, and I saw it on the shelf, and I was like, I don't need that. And then I walked away. I was like, if I cut myself on a knife, I didn't buy that. I will never, I'll know that I could have bought that. So I had to go back and get it.
You probably just saved my career. Like,
get a bagel cutter, get a knife cleaner. You too, Aaron.
Funny.
Yeah, if you cut 365 bagels a year, like statistically, you're gonna cut yourself pretty bad at some point.
Yeah, especially if it's an everything bagel and some of the everything falls
Oh,
off,
yeah.
and you're like, oh, ah!
Now, the one that I really did cut myself on recently, it was frozen in one of those pre-cut ones, but it wasn't cut all the way through. And I was trying to get the knife in the pre-made slot, and it just like I
Dude, you
was
already.
sleepy. I really messed up, but
Dude.
I wear glove. I have these big purple gloves that go to my elbows to wash dishes with, because like I don't want my calluses to fall
Right.
off. Because I
But
don't want
you'll
to be
use
like,
a knife around your fingers.
Right.
yeah,
We're adults now, Joe. You can
yeah,
get
bagel
a
cutters.
bagel cutter, man.
I'm doing it. It's
Yeah, I'll send you one.
I'm gonna get one today. I think.
Yes.
I think I'm
Instead
just gonna go on Amazon.
Yep. You
and
get it.
one.
You post it on Instagram.
I will
Yeah.
do this.
There you go.
Oh
You'll
man.
never forgive yourself if you cut yourself again on a bagel.
Right.
You'll be like, ah.
Man.
The one thing I learned from this conversation with Billy Brouse from Papadosio was I didn't even take the heart to get a bagel cutter.
Well, it has sunk in.
All right,
But switching gears again, pulling this back. You mentioned the motet. What are other bands that you're really excited about that are either on the scene now or up and coming in the scene? Who do I need to listen to?
Like specifically in the scene, or just like what I'm listening to that I'm excited about?
Both, really.
Way to put him on the spot, Joe.
Yeah. Well, I've been listening to this dude. I don't know his actual name, but his producer name is Dorian Concept.
Oh, cool.
He's an incredible keyboard player and an incredible producer. He's on, I think, Ninja Tune or Warp, which are the two best electronic music outlets, in my opinion.
Huh.
I think it's Warp. Aphex Twin is on Warp, Square Pusher on Warp. That's like the granddaddy of electronica label. But Dorian Concept is like blowing my mind. And like I haven't. There was a couple years where I like didn't really listen to that much music at all, other than the tried and true stuff that you're used to. Like, hey, I want to listen to 93 to Infinity by the Mighty Souls of Mischief because that's my favorite hip hop song. So I'm gonna listen to that, 8 times a month and not branch out. And his music has really helped me branch out. And part of the reason is because he does it live too. Like he will play those parts live and do it differently every time. It's incredibly refreshing.
I love that name. I mean, is he technical?
Yes.
Sounds like he's super into
very technical.
Mode. Loves those major picks.
I think he's from Scotland. He looks like he's from Scotland. I'm not really sure, but
does he wear a kilt while he plays?
No.
My last name's McMurray, so I've got a little bit of that running in my blood.
McMurray, nice.
Are you saying that, like Brain Feeder, Ninja Tune, Warp? These are labels.
Yes.
Okay.
So labels are still alive and well in electronic music because a lot of those guys don't play live shows. Flying Lotus. That's Flying Lotus's label is called Brain Feeder. Flying Lotus is pretty sure he's related to the Coltrane's somehow. Have you listened to Flying Lotus before?
No.
Wow.
It's on my list here.
Flying Lotus is the shit. It's like super swung.
I know the name. I don't know why. I'm pretty sure I've heard it before.
You've listened to Thundercat?
Yes.
Okay. So Thundercat plays bass on most of the Flying Lotus tracks.
Maybe that's why.
Oh, we talked about Thundercat because actually you guys have played with Broccoli Samurai, I think.
Yeah, I know those guys.
We had their bass player on, Randy
Nicholas.
Yeah, and he talked about Thundercat, so I listened.
Yeah, they're from Ohio.
Oh. Randy, yeah. I guess Randy, their bass player, at least now, was not the original bass player, but
Yeah, I'm not
I've
sure.
been
I
touring
think
with
they
him
went through
recently.
like a whole lineup switch not too long ago. I don't know. I haven't seen those guys in a minute, but I definitely know them, and they're great dudes. Yeah. So Flying Lotus is the grandnephew of Alice Coltrane. So not related by family to John Coltrane, but he's in that. He has access to the Coltrane
That's good lineage.
masters, at least. That's good.
Man, yeah, Coltrane they just posthumously released an album last year of like old studio takes that had never been released. They were playing it on NPR a bunch and on the Sirius XM jazz station. Some pretty cool
I
stuff.
think I heard that on NPR. I listen to NPR religiously.
Yeah, I love NPR.
It's something to fill up space if I don't know what music to listen to.
I switch back and forth between like it's things like NPR or podcasts where I feel like I'm learning something, bettering myself, and then
Right.
like I'll switch over, I'll listen to some music, and then depends on what how much I'm driving, what kind of mood I'm in. But
I feel you.
yeah, NPR does a good job of putting forth a well thought out story and argument, and well-rounded.
Yeah, I think I grew up listening to it in my mom's car, but she'd always have it turned down, so it'd be like, so like now I can actually listen to it full volume.
You hear the words.
Yeah. And she also used to listen to a lot of classical music,
Mm-hmm.
which is always great.
Do you ever play? Have you ever in your life played classical piano?
Nope, absolutely not.
When
I
you're
should.
eh,
I'm more of like I don't know what I'm doing basically. I do because I've made a place for myself. Um, and like if you were in my house right now, we could sit here and play together, for however long you want. But I'm not a classically trained musician in any sense of the word.
but you understand. I mean, if someone was to say, "Here's the chord progression,"
Sure.
I mean, I would hope. Yeah, I mean, you guys are up there doing awesome stuff. It
I mean,
sounds like you know
I'm
all
a
that.
professional musician,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not. Um, I mean, there would be some people who would be would definitely not necessarily talk shit. It would be like, you need to know your theory better, and I know I do, but what I do and my place in the band and my place in music, what I've carved out and how I take it is more of an aesthetic thing. Like I'm not going to nerd out with you on scales and modes, but I will sit here and talk about synthesizers and Ableton and the way music makes me feel for hours. You know what I mean? But that's just how I've always gone about it. So I don't know.
It seems like that's a more sustainable approach to it. I mean, talking about scales isn't fun. I mean,
Well, for some people it is. I mean, I'm sure you would love to. I'm sure if I hung up, you and Aaron could just, talk about that all the time.
I mean, I understand the importance of it, but I don't think that's not what instills this obsession in me. I think the obsession stems from actually loving music and melody and the harmony behind it and stuff. Learning the scales and the deeper theory to me is kind of like I won't call it a necessary evil because I do enjoy it, but it's not what makes me love music. I do it to make it so I can play better music.
Right. I hope I wasn't coming across as like
You're
that's a
fine.
bad thing. I don't know. I just, and like earlier, what I was saying, like you can learn as much as you want. Like some of the best musicians I know don't know how to go on tour, or don't know how to, or have like some of the best I've ever seen have the worst tone I've ever. Like, what are you doing? Like
On a
you're playing
specific instrument.
all the notes. Like you know how to play all the notes, but like just give me your, just let me be your tech. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Is that on a specific instrument, like on keys
No,
or?
no. Well, yeah. I mean, just any instrument. Like I guess it's not, it's not my place to say what tone is right. You know what I mean? I like a more understated, like on bass, for instance. I like a passive bass. I like passive DI. I like to hear you digging in. When you dig in, I want to, I want to hear it. I want to hear the fuzz that comes from you overdriving it from your fingers. I don't want to hear the clunk of. I don't want to hear the attack of a modulus. You know what I mean? Like, I want a P bass, or no, a Fender 5 jazz bass. That's what I like, and I want to. But that's just me. And I've written songs that I've tried to have that come across in Ableton on Splice and send it to the dudes, and they're like, "We're gonna record this bass because it's bad." I'm like, "I think it's good." I don't know. Just doesn't matter how many notes you play for me. It's just the overall feeling of it. I'd rather less notes and better tone. That's just me.
I think that's a good way to go about it too. It doesn't sound good. Yeah, I mean, the quest for tone is never ending. Aaron, you might appreciate this. I recently, I mean, I love Robin Ford's tone. I don't know if I've talked about this in the past. Like, there are players like Eric Johnson who have emulated their style more, but Robin Ford's tone could be like the pinnacle of guitar tone for me.
Right.
It's he used the Dumble Overdrive Special Amp. It's just it's so silky smooth and beautiful. So I've been on this quest recently to find that, and I recently did order. I ordered the Dude pedal by J
Oh,
Rocket,
yeah.
and I also ordered the DMBL Dumble pedal by Mojo Hand.
Okay.
So I figured I can return anything that, because I got it from Guitar Center because they allow
Yep.
you to return things.
You rented it.
Well, they don't even have it in stock, so I had to order it, and then so I had to pay for it, but I can bring it back if I
Right.
don't like it.
Right. That's a rent.
Yeah.
Essentially a
Air
rental,
quotes.
yeah.
You rent stuff from Guitar Center all the time.
Yeah.
Great.
I really I hate the Guitar Center it makes it hard for the mom and pop shops, but I would be so sad if Guitar Center left. Like, I know
Oh,
they've
yeah.
had some problems, but it's like the only place I feel comfortable going and just like playing, like trying things out a lot. There's other stores, like the guy will sit there and they, don't touch the guitars on the wall. Somebody will hand it to you. Then you feel like somebody's just like watching you and judging you the whole time you test stuff out.
Right, which is the absolute last thing you need when you're testing something out.
Yeah, I want to go in there and it's like Playland, and I want to play everything. And
that's why the
spend some
Moog
time.
store is so cool.
Yeah.
I think. Again, though, I play synthesizers, so
I think it's great for anybody. If you can play a piano at all, check out the Moog store.
it's very fun. They have other stuff too. They have like a bunch of teenage engineering hardware in there, which is like little teeny, like I think they started out trying to be like 8-bit sound, but now you can just, they have a little thing called the OP1, and now I think they have an OP2, and you can just put it in your pocket, a lot of their stuff, and it sounds great. Moog has that in there. They have like video synthesizers in there, which are out of my wheelhouse for sure, but looks cool.
What?
It's fun
Like
to play.
something you could put video, like, could you use that in a live performance where you like have a guy whose job is like putting some cool video footage up and like warping it in real time with the music?
So when we play live, we have our light designer does video too.
Those were awesome.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, that's a big part of the show, I think, aesthetically. I mean, that's what I'm all about. I want it to look good and sound good and be accessible. I feel like having the video element there has always been really big for us. As you were saying earlier, with the quintessential for you, head bobbing late night festival sound. And I'm fine with that, but I want you to be able to look at something, and we created a lot of that content. So sometimes when we're playing, that'll be our music video in the background that he'll then warp into paintings by artists that we know. Also, he does, if I play a note, there's a screen behind me. Everyone has a screen behind them. So if they're playing a note, it'll affect the screen. So it runs through an Arduino, like little mini computer processor that goes into his Ableton out front and then affects the video, like waveform.
That's really cool.
He's a weird wizard, man. I can't even explain all of it, but it's. We told him that that's what we wanted. Like if I hit a note, I want it to be like on the video, and he was like, "Cool." He did it. It was amazing. Dustin Klein.
He's your light guy.
Yeah. Videometry is his Instagram.
Videometry?
Yeah, video me try.
Okay. So I've mentioned this to Aaron before, but I can't remember what's it called when you see colors or you associate colors.
Synesthesia.
Yeah. Synesthesia. I'm gonna write that down.
My cousin has that, and it's really weird.
I get some, like when I hear certain sounds, it reminds me of colors, like the Mixolydian mode. Just that it doesn't have to be a specific note, but anything with that sound. Yeah, well, Mixolydian, like I kind of see green when I close my eyes. It's just that's what I get, and it would be cool if you could program like a minor seventh chord produces one color, a dominant seven produces another.
You can do that.
That would be so cool.
You absolutely can do that.
I'd set that up in my room here and just like have become my life.
You would never have to leave, dude.
I was just gonna say.
I would just have to go.
There goes all Brett Joe's practice time.
I'd have to play more shows to afford all this stuff.
Well, you could set it up so that a certain frequency is recognized by your computer, and then translate that via MIDI to your like master video computer. And I know for sure there's a way to do that. We can make that happen for you, man.
So cool. There's just not enough hours in the day.
Yeah, right.
Like I said, I would be happy to play, experiment more on Ableton. I would love to get a better keyboard because I would like to have a keyboard at my shows because some songs just sound better.
Does that have a MIDI out on it?
It does.
There you go. Do you have an interface? You do because you have a microphone right in front of you. Does your interface have a MIDI out or MIDI in, MIDI out?
I usually plug it straight into my computer, but what do I have here? I have my Focusrite.
There you go. I have one of those. They're great.
Yeah. So is that what this K is?
Let me see it. Which one do you have?
That's the back of it.
Well, you have USB in. That.
Yeah, I have the USB in.
There's not like a traditional MIDI out on that, so
no.
But you can use USB over MIDI. It's the same thing. Get you a dang MIDI controller, and then the world is yours, man.
Yep.
See,
Aaron knows.
Mm-hmm.
There it is.
Love to do it all. Oh, you've got your little one, yeah.
What do you got over there?
Adderall.
Yep. Nice. Yeah, they're no joke for sure.
Yeah.
Adderall and Novation are my favorite.
Yeah.
I've had the same Novation Mark II for 8 years. And
Yeah.
I wanted to upgrade it, but the new one's like very expensive.
Yeah.
So and then mine's not broken yet, so there's no reason.
I was just gonna say, once you get your piece, you're set, you're gold.
Right.
What do you normally have on stage when you're playing a normal show where you can have all the gear you want?
If I had everything, it would be the Access Virus TI, which is the best digital analog modeling synthesizer I've ever played. Then a Novation Mark II, MK2, I guess it stands for Mark II, MIDI controller, Sub 37, Moog Sub 37. The JU06, which is the digital recreation of the Juno 106. And then another MIDI controller for Mellotron sounds. Because digital Mellotrons sound close enough, and a real Mellotron is, $25,000 or something. So might as well just have the digital version on the computer.
Yeah.
But if I had, and then I'm trying to get it more into pedals. I got a Strymon Big Sky a couple months ago, and it really has changed the way I play the Moog, at least. It's just, if you get a really nice reverb pedal, it just kind of changes it. So I reached out to Earthquaker.
Mm-hmm.
They're from Akron, Ohio, which is like right next to where I grew up. So I'm trying to have them help me build a pedal rig, because I don't really know what's going on with pedals. I just spent on inside the synthesizer and inside Ableton for years. So I'm really excited to get into that world.
That's awesome. Well, this has been awesome. I've really enjoyed getting to talk to you, and
well,
thank you for coming on, Billy Brouse from Papadosio.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Yeah. Is anything you want to plug? Tell everybody where they should go to find out more information about you.
Yeah, Papadosio.com, Papadosio on Facebook and Instagram. Check out Brether Music on Instagram, BRETHER Music, which is my brother and I's. It's our side project outside of Papadosio.
Cool.
And check out Resonance Festival. It'll be the whole first wave of the lineup will be released shortly. Also,
what's the date of the festival?
The weekend of September 22nd.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Billy. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for reaching out, man.
Yeah. Really appreciate it. I hope you have an awesome day.
Yeah, you guys too.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
All right.
Cheers.
Yeah. Have a good one.